All right. I'm gonna try and collect myself, trying to collect my thoughts. I think this is kind of an exercise in that, just talking into the void. I haven't felt the real need, obviously, to do this in many moons, but obviously, whatever we saw a week ago, it has been a week. That's kind of what prompted this. It's just like a week later, you let everything, digest. You got all your initial reactions out the way and everything. Now you actually have opportunity to really actually sit down and come to grips with everything. But obviously, with the assassination of Charlie Kirk, uh, you know, the world kind of stood still for a little bit. At least, the world in the U.S. You know what I mean? I don't really know how people globally cared enough, maybe, to react to it. And really, the message I want to get across here is that I think we, as a country, as a collective, as a society, whatever have you, have forgotten how to speak to each other. I think that's kind of what it is. And that sounds kind of like easy to say. It almost sounds like a platitude, but, hear me out. It's like, obviously, I'm not that old. I'm not old at all, actually. I'm in my 20s at the time of recording this. However, from what I can deduce, excluding the 60s, we're not going that far back, but, it didn't really, at least from the media that I can observe and from the people who were around back then, it didn't seem to be like this. You see what I'm saying? Like, it didn't seem to be like people had their political or social or, economic opinions and stances, and they attached that policy to, like, their own inner being. You know what I mean? Like this is kind of my problem. This is kind of the problem that I feel like is at the root of a lot of this, because it's like, I know a lot of people have an issue with, oh, you can't just call it disagreements. But that's kind of what the issue is. You see what I'm saying? Like, if Charlie Kirk, or if anybody for that matter, has an opinion that, for instance, let's say that minors shouldn't be given access to puberty blockers or HRT. Obviously, Charlie's gonna have his reasons for that, and you can debate him on that, but I guess not anymore. Y'all kind of got rid of that possibility. But, the whole trans coalition, or anybody, adjacent to that, kind of sees that policy, which this is policy that's being enacted throughout the country. This is it's a populist issue, which, I mean, I'm going to get to, but the point being is that that's a policy point. And people look at that like it's violence. Like, I'm trying to find a better word for it, but, like, they really do see that as the exact same. If you say, oh, well, Charlie Kirk didn't do nothing to nobody about, oh, well, he was pushing for policy, and he was one of the main people who got Trump elected, and he's pushing for policy that affects trans people and makes them kill themselves. So how is he not responsible for... It's like, do y'all not see? There's no way that we're looking at these two things like the same way. Like, somebody of their own accord grabbed the rifle, like, meticulously planned out where this guy was gonna be, was familiar with the terrain, and the location, gets himself up on a roof. He scopes him out, shoots him down, then gets away for more than a day. Tried to come back and get the gun to get rid of the evidence. This is a crazy premeditated crime, assassination. You know what I mean? And we're looking at this like it's the same as, hey, this is like a 90-10 issue, and I think that, like, if you're a minor, you probably shouldn't be taking these, substances that could have adverse effects to your health later on when you might not feel the exact same way about, yourself, your gender identity, whatever it is you want to call it. Right? Like, and don't get me wrong, like, I really have a lot of issues with the way the other side is kind of dealing with this as well, and that's kind of the point. Like, the point is that we forgot how to talk to each other because both sides are kind of talking past each other on this. And I'm not really trying to play at both sides of them. I'm not really trying to do that neither, but, I guess I'm just trying to talk. I guess I should just get the point out instead of trying to preface it, the people who may feel some type of way about it. But you see what I'm talking about? Like political issues don't have to be like you. You know what I mean? That doesn't have to be your life. Everyone's talking, oh, well, he supported the war in Israel, and there's all types of children and mothers that are losing, their husbands and everything, and he supported that. It's like, dude, it's a war, though. You know what I mean? Like, and obviously you could be anti-war. I'm anti-war. I mean, it's a really easy thing to say that you're anti-war. I feel like that's kind of like a misnomer. Is there anyone who's really pro-war? Some people I feel like are, right? But, that's neither here nor there. But, because he took a side, which, by the way, like, it didn't even really seem like he seemed like he was one of the more moderate voices on that, if you want to call it a pro-Israel side. It seemed like he was a voice that was a little bit more willing to criticize, the Israeli government, especially in recent times, recent months. And y'all just went and silenced that voice. Y'all see what I'm saying? So, because, like, do people not look down the road? That's kind of something that I've been stuck on. Like, why can't we look down the road on this? You see what I'm saying? Like, there's absolutely no way that you think that I know that it's not, now it's a misnomer on my end, because I know for a fact that the people who support this assassination, or had problems with Charlie Kirk, they don't really view him as a moderate voice at all. It's quite the opposite. They view him as a radical voice. They see very little or no difference between him and maybe like a Nick Fuentes. Him and like a literal neo-Nazi, fascist, authoritarian, racist, white nationalist, I already say that, type person. Like, they really, really don't see any issue with that. And is that not also kind of the issue? This is what I'm talking about. Like, I said we forgot to talk to each other. Talking to each other requires some type of social IQ, I should say. If I'm going out to the club and like I'm trying to spit my shit, does that not mean that, like, I gotta be able to, like, know some things about things, so I know how to talk to somebody? Oh, that's a cool shirt. It's got this band on it. Oh, you was fan like this band. Oh man, that must be like, and I gotta be able to kind of like to do it, like, not in an autistic way. I know I'm coming at it from an autistic way, but this is stuff that, socially, socially healthy people can kind of do on the fly. They can make those calculations in their head. It's like, oh, okay, this person, they're probably within this age group, within this, they probably hang around these circles and everything like that. Just kind of based off the way they dress, based off the way they talk, based off the stuff they're talking about. You got to have some type of knowledge, like some IQ there. So if you're coming into this conversation now, into this discourse, talking like Charlie Kirk is no different from a little white nationalist, then once again, like you don't have the capacity. You don't have the what's the word? Like you don't have the social currency to even participate in this discourse, and you shouldn't. But it seems like the people, the loudest voices, are those very people. You can't think. Sometimes you can just be wrong. An opinion can just be wrong. I could have an opinion that the Earth is flat. Like I could sit here and use all types of language to justify that, right? But at the end of the day, I'm still just wrong. Am I not? Like I could say the sky's not blue. Maybe that's not the best case because color is like not objective or whatever. But you see what I'm talking about? Like you can't just there's no debate. How do I debate that you think you're a white nationalist? If I bring up, okay, well, a white nationalist believes this and this and this and this, and then I bring up Charlie Kirk and it's like, all right, he doesn't believe in any of those things. In fact, he's like he's an advocate for the opposite of those things. Somebody is just gonna come to me and say, oh, well, he supports this, which is still right wing. Therefore, it's gonna lead somebody. People out here really saying like, oh, well, Charlie Kirk is a pipeline, and you'll eventually end up at Nick Fuentes. It's like, well, anybody, if you keep going, you know what I mean? Like, if you don't stop nowhere, eventually you're gonna get to the fringes. Like, so is there any right wing figure that isn't a pipeline? I ask people that, and they have trouble, contemplating that. But like, it's true. So is there a right wing figure when you're out here, out and about, openly talking about how, Charlie Kirk was different because he was anti, his policies killed trans people, and he was anti-civil rights. So, he would have been for, the suffering of black people and everything like this. And he was pro-Israel. So he wanted the suffering of all these Palestinians. So it's like, so can you be right wing? I'm not saying he's right or wrong on any of these issues, by the way, if that wasn't made clear, but it's like, so you can't be right wing then. So like, what is the difference between that and any right winger? And by the way, these are populist issues. You see what I'm saying? Affirmative action is not popular. It never has been. Trans people, trans men and women's sports, trans hormones given to minors. These are 90 to 10 issues. Like these are outrageously populist. This is a big reason why Trump won this most recent election. Or I guess I should say the 2024 election to make it more timeless, right? But so what about all of those people? You see what I'm talking about? And you see why this is like an issue? Because when people see that, they're like, well, damn, I believe in those things, or I know someone who believes in those things, or I believe in some of those things, or I kind of believe in that thing. Like, and they're saying that he deserved to get assassinated because he believed in those things. Like, he was outspoken about believing those things. So what does that mean? Like, what about me though? Because I believe that same shit. Then what? So I deserve to get assassinated too? Like, dog, we're friends on Facebook. Like, what the fuck? You're saying you want me to die? And I know a lot of people, they'll use all types of ways to try and minimize that. They'll say, oh, well, obviously no one deserves to die. However, when you put that but, it's like you really didn't believe what you were saying before. You know what I mean? Because, like it's the classic. It's like, oh, well, Hitler was such a bad guy, but, what do you mean, but? What's the but? I don't know. We forgot to talk to each other, man. Like, we forgot to talk to each other. I'm about turning down the temperature. I don't want this to go no further. I really don't. And I talk to people about turning down the temperature, and you know what they tell me? They say, oh, well, the other side first, you first. Like, dog, what? So you go and kill a major political figure, a major talking head, a major community leader on these guys' side. Y'all go and kill him. And yes, it's y'all, by the way. We know enough at this point to put that on y'all. And even if we didn't, the shooter said, like, the shooter himself doesn't really matter because y'all are already claiming it. You see what I'm saying? You're like, oh, we're not claiming it. No, yes, you are. When you go out and put out all of these, you know, snarky memes and make t-shirts and do all these TikTok dances and all these type of jokes and subliminals and all this type of stuff, that's you claiming it. That is you claiming it, right? Like, that makes sense. Like if a white nationalist, one of these white nationalists goes to Walmart and starts gunning down every black person he sees, and instead of me saying, like, in a public platform, in a public space, instead of me out here like, damn, that's terrible, oh my God, Jesus Christ, that's awful, my condolences to everybody, oh my God, what can I do? Is there a charity? Is there a GoFundMe? Like, damn, let me, instead of that reaction, if it's if niggas really in the hood like that, they really should have been able, they should have ducked and cover a little better. They should have been able to sift that out. They should have started shooting back. You telling me none of them niggas have no, like, if I'm over here, like, off some snarky remarks, like, how is that not me claiming it? So I pack watched all them niggas in that fucking Walmart, like, you know what I mean? I'm dancing on their graves digitally. If not, like, literally. I'm making t-shirts and everything like that. It's like, oh, like, how many, like, let's say, like, 12 people died in this motherfucker. It's like, 12 down, like, the KDA of the shooter or some shit. Like, I don't know. Like, if that's my reaction, how is that not me claiming it? I'm not saying it outright, but I'm saying enough. Am I not? So yeah, the shooter doesn't really matter. Let's ignore the fact that, you know, had anti-fascist, like, referred to an anti-fascist song, World War II song on one of the bullet casings, and then another one of the bullet casings literally said, catch fascists. Now, I know there's some, like there's some weird cope going on, because, like, if we're just talking about the reactions, and it has nothing really to do with the shooter, then why are so many people so, you know, hell-bent on trying to obfuscate and make it, you know, try and sow as much doubt about the shooter's intention as humanly possible? If some of y'all low-key agree with the shooters, you see what I'm saying? Like, oh, it could have been a groiper. Why does it matter? Y'all are celebrating it as if it isn't. A groiper being like a Nick Fuentes type, you know, white nationalist, light type of dude, you know what I mean? It's like a 20-something white nationalist. Pretty much, you know what I mean? So, like, oh, it could have been like a right-winger. Like, why are y'all making jokes about it then? Like, if it was a racist talking about, oh, I'm killing Charlie Kirk because he's not racist enough, y'all would still be claiming it. It's kind of like when ISIS, motherfucker, like, there's a bombing somewhere, then ISIS over here is like, yo, we did that. Yeah, no, that's good because it killed Americans, so we're good with it. You know what I mean? Like, that's y'all. Y'all were claiming it regardless because y'all agree with the target. Y'all wouldn't be doing it if this was, you know what I mean, like Alexander Ocasio-Cortez. If this was Bernie Sanders, if this was Joe Biden, if this was Hassan Abi, right? Like, y'all wouldn't be talking the way that y'all are talking right now. But the shooter could have been all types of people. Could have been some far left. I don't know, man. I don't know. You see why? Like, it's so hard to have these conversations, because you get bogged down in the nonsense so goddamn quickly. And this is a part of the issue as well. I strongly am of the belief that much of this is to do with social media. I was listening to somebody earlier talking about, you know, there's radicals on the far right that make up like 5% of the right, and there's radicals on the far left that make up like 5% of the left, and then there's the vast majority of the rest of us that are the 90%. But that 5 and 5%, that 10% on either side, are the loudest voices, and the 90% are the quietest voices. So it can sound like there's more of them than there really are. You see what I'm saying? Like, and you can argue the numbers of it, but it's kind of the sentiment that's the point. You see what I'm saying? Like, this social media, these algorithms, they understand. You can go and look at Facebook and how there's research. There's a story that came out years ago about how they developed their algorithm to show you controversial things that'll make you angry, because you'd be more likely to not only consume that content but interact with that content, which keeps you on the platform longer, which lets them mine more of your metadata, which lets them sell more of that metadata to advertisers, which allows them to make money, right? Like, it's actually just their business model. It's just straight financial interest for them, right? So these algorithms, you know, scientifically, like, they put resources into developing these algorithms to show you things that will make you interact with it or make you consume it longer. You know what I mean? Like we sit here and we scroll through this Twitter, we scroll through this Facebook, we scroll through, you know, whatever it is you scrolling through. We scroll through this TikTok. It's deliberately showing you this because you're going to be so mad. You're going to watch it. You might even comment. You're going to motherfucking save it. You're going to show it to somebody else. You're going to repost it. You're going to put it on this. Look at this nigga. What the fuck this nigga saying and everything like this. And those creators, they have financial interest or otherwise, you know, as well, where they can sit here and have a long, drawn, nuanced, you know, placid, moderate take, kind of like what I'm doing, which nobody's gonna fucking listen to. I'm screaming into the void. This is a cathartic exercise for me, right? But you know, no one's gonna watch what the fuck I'm doing. If I get on TikTok and start talking about Pack Watch, you know what I mean, doing all types of dances and shit like that, posting all types of memes, you can make some funny memes, right? At least for this generation. For Zoomers, like, you know what I mean, the sense of humor is so fucked up. Like, yeah, you can make some outrageously funny memes for that demographic, right? So, but if I go out and doing that, like, bro, I'm gonna be viral tomorrow. Libs of TikTok gonna retweet it. I'm gonna end up on all of these watch lists, you know, these band lists of people to go contact my shit, everything like, bro, I'm gonna be infamous, but that's better than no famous, right? Like, is that not part of the issue? Like, they just want to blow up. They just want notoriety. They just want clout. And yeah, you can flip that into financial gain, maybe, but for some of these people, like, it's just the clout. It's just that clout. They just want that attention. So it's like the chicken or the egg almost, because it's like the social medias are rewarding them with clout for having these outrageous takes, for acting in such deplorable ways, but they're being rewarded for it. And not acting like that doesn't reward them nearly as much. You see what I'm talking about? So is that not just like a, what do you call that? Like a, what the fuck is that? Like positive reinforcement? You see what I'm saying? So, okay, do they actually think these things? Like, I mean, I don't know. Some of these people, I really don't think they think anything, really. But if their whole lives, they've only been rewarded for being this type of controversial, or they've lived their whole lives not being that way, and then they get on TikTok and they start being that way, and they start finding success being that way. Why would they not follow the positive reinforcement? Why do they not follow the financial opportunity? Like they might not even be cognizant of it. It's like, well, things are going good for me. I'm getting a lot of followers. I'm getting a lot of clout. You know, I'm getting a lot of ad revenue off of this. I'm getting a lot of ad share. My finances are better. I have all these funny internet friends now that are cool with me. All these famous people. All these streamers want to talk to me now. So why would I not continue? That's why I'm kind of, you see, like, I hope I'm getting the point across clear and I'm not rambling too much, but it's 100% on these social media platforms as well. From what we know, this guy got really into, like, you know, these radical leftist communities and, you know, got on Discord, got on some of these Discords and everything like, bro, and once you get on the Discords, where now it's like a walled garden, and y'all just talking whatever the fuck y'all want to talk, like, that's like the end state. A lot of people think it's 4chan. You could get on 4chan right now. You could jump on 4chan right now. You could jump on Parler right now. You could jump on Minds. You could jump on Rumble. You could, like, any of these alternative platforms. Like, some of them are, like, anonymous, like 4chan and 8chan and all those places, but /poll, you can get on /poll right now. I can see everything /poll is typing. But once you get, like, on a Telegram, once you get on a Discord, once you get, like, on a group chat, WhatsApp or some shit, like, that's when it's different. That's when it's too far gone. I can't pull you out there because I don't even know you're there now. You see what I'm saying? That's part of the reason why I'm so big on, like, community and fostering positive community and engendering, you know, non-degenerate culture. Because so many people are so starved of that, especially these young men. Like, that's like their life's purpose. Like, they need it. So they go out and seek it, regardless of who gets them. It could be the white nationalists. It could be the tankies. Those are like people who want to kill landowners, by the way. It could be the transgenders. The radical transgenders. It sounds like I'm saying a joke, but that's like a real thing. They have like gun groups and militias, and like the ideologies only. The further you go down the hole, the more radical the ideologies get. Like, we got to kill all cis people for yada yada reason. like you're only gonna find that type of shit on a fucking Discord server somewhere, bruh. You see what I'm saying? Like, so we forgot to talk to each other, man. We forgot to talk to each other with all this social media, with all of these conflicting, you know, motivations now, muddying the water, gumming things up. It's not easy to have that conversation no more. We don't know how to talk to each other no more, man. It's concerning because, you know, it a lot of the responses from people with this whole Charlie Kirk situation, it's not been, I don't think, wholesale. As it's not the worst case scenario where we're just gearing up to start shooting back. Everyone's just gearing up to start shooting each other. That would have been the worst case scenario, and I don't think we got that. But like with most things, I think we got like the middling, you know, scenario. Where it's not the best, it's not the worst. But what I'm finding is that people are just getting more balkanized. That's kind of what's happening. People are getting more fortified on both sides of this, which is kind of crazy, right? Like, a radical on one side goes and assassinates a moderate on the other side, and the answer to the side of the assassin is to balkanize even further. What I mean when I saying that is, like, if it's a gradient of the political spectrum, like an actual spectrum, where it's blue on one side, red on the other side, and then a gradient of, you know, blues, reds, and purples in the middle. It's just getting balkanized. Like, you're gonna have to choose a side now. Like, there's a hard line being drawn in the middle, and all of that gradient, all of that miasma in the middle is being pushed to one or the other side, and then the color is gonna have to shift. It can't be like a gradient. It's gonna have to be closer to the color of whichever side of the spectrum you're on there. So all of those red purples, you're gonna have to get a little bit more red. You don't got to get all the way red, but you can't be that purple. You know, those violet types. I guess violet is that not more on the blue side, but the same shit on the blue side. Those blue purples, you're gonna have to get a little bit more blue, dog. If you want to be over here. If you don't want to be over here, you're gonna have to go over there. And you want to get over there, you're gonna have to be red. So you ain't gonna be any type of purple no more. You're gonna have to be more red. So that's kind of what's happening. It's a line being drawn in the middle, and everyone's just picking it. Like it's too thin to stand on it. You can't stand on the line. You can't be a centrist, Steve. Like I would like to be. Spoiler alert, but you can't do it. You can't do it. It's not possible. It's too thin. You'll just end up falling on one side or the other, so you might as well pick one. That's kind of what's happening right now. And once again, that's not the worst case scenario, but it's certainly not the best, and it's still very concerning. Because I think it just slowly will move towards that eventual worst case scenario. If everyone's this divided, if everyone's this balkanized, it completely becomes, red side, blue side politics, partisan politics, and then everything becomes partisan. The very common sentiment I'm seeing is that nobody wants to reach across, nobody wants to have these conversations anymore. People are more concerned with getting away from the other side. So that national divorce, if you've ever heard that terminology, that's kind of the direction we're going. And, that doesn't have to be, theoretically, you could do that completely nonviolently, but is that really the direction we want? Is that the direction we want, where we have the right side of America and left side of America? The right states of America, left states of America? I need like a passport to go to either side. Like if I want a job, I'm going to have to look like, okay, is this like on the right side of town or the left side of town? Oh, shit, that's the left side of town. I'm not going to be able to do that. They might find some of the shit that I posted. Some of the memes I posted, they might not like that. That's another thing. The right has completely embraced cancel culture at this point. There have always been elements of that on the right wing, obviously. But I think it's pretty clear at this point that they're absolutely done with trying to fight against it, and they're just using it and weaponizing it for their own means now, because all the people that are making jokes or justifying or supporting or obfuscating or minimizing Charlie Kirk's assassination, they're, like I said, they're making like mailing lists. There's like a Steam a Steam list of all the developers and everything that have made tweets and everything. Like they're completely going after these people. You're seeing all these updates. Oh, we got another one. This one got fired. This person got fired. Like, and the companies are, you know what I mean? Like they're afraid. They're going with it. Like, people gotta realize we are still under Trump at this point in time. You know what I mean? So like the right wing has the cultural and political power. Sometimes you forget that. So a lot of people are obviously going with it. I mean, obviously it's just like, bro, if you selling shirts with this dude's neck exploding and shit like that, like, what's wrong with you? Firstly, who the fuck let you sell that? Who the fuck made that? Who the fuck printed that for you? You know what I mean? So like there's an element, like I'm not gonna sit here and act like I don't understand where that's coming from, but once again, we're just getting to a point where you say the wrong thing and you might lose your whole livelihood now, which is the reason why cancel culture is supposed to be bad. And now both sides have fully embraced it. So once again, like, things, they're only moving slower to, in my opinion, the wrong place. Let me talk about the right wing a little bit. You know, there's been a whole lot of comparisons being made with George Floyd and Paul Pelosi and the Minnesota senators or what have you and everything. And I just want to see if I can kind of clarify some of these issues and why some of these things are being brought up. So let me just start with, you know, for everybody out there who might have liked Charlie Kirk or fucked with him or was adjacent to him or whatever it was, you know, with Charlie Kirk, there 100% is, there is like this tempting, you know, it's like this devil on your shoulder where it's like, man, I really wish they would go and get Destiny. I would really wish they would go and get Hassan Abi. And I just want people to know, like, you shouldn't feel, it's going to sound crazy, but hear me out. You shouldn't feel is guilty about those type of thoughts as, you know, some people might want to make it out to be, right? Because those are thoughts that are coming from, you know, pain and loss and grief, and those are thoughts that are coming, you know, from, you know, revenge. And obviously we've all played enough video games, we've watched enough movies, we've read enough books. Okay, maybe not that part, but, you know, We know enough. Like, culturally, it is well known that revenge will get you nowhere. Like, that is the ideal. You know, that is the theme. That's the lesson. You know, revenge will get you nowhere, but, you know, it's not, obviously, if anyone you consider close to you or a friend or whatever the fuck it is, and you see him get assassinated, like, live in front of all these people and everything like that, in front of their kids, in front of their wife, and then you go online and everyone's making all types of memes about it, talking about how he deserved it, talking about how they feel bad for the bullet and all that type of shit. Of course, you're going to be like, well, fuck these guys. Like, you want them to be hurt the way that you've been hurt, so that they know how it feels, you know. And, yeah, that's a human emotion. It's wrong, and obviously revenge is wrong, and you shouldn't go and advocate for these things, right? But I just want people trying to draw more equivalence to, you know, people's friends dying in front of millions of people in a gruesome way, and people feeling some type of way about that, you know, especially when some of these public figures go onto public platforms and talk the way that they have been talking, in a very unempathetic, dispassionate, crude even type of way. So I just wanted to get that point across. A lot of people like to bring up George Floyd, and the reason for that is because a lot of what this discourse, this is why I say we forgot how to talk to each other, because a lot of this discourse now is much being made of nothing. You know, like, nobody's saying that you have to now like Charlie Kirk. No one's saying that. And anyone who is saying that is in the wrong for saying that. You see what I'm saying? Like Charlie Kirk, if you didn't like him, you didn't like him. If you disagreed with him dying isn't going to make you agree with him. For some people, it might. Some people might go and really look into what he's saying and go explore more conservative thought, and, you know, maybe that'll wake them up to something, you know, maybe that'll really speak to them or something like that. But that's neither here nor there. But, like, the fact that, like, if you heard the stuff he had to say before and you didn't like it, him dying isn't going to change that. It's not going to change. It's not just going to make you like it all of a sudden. You see what I'm saying? Like, so obviously, you know, I understand that should be understandable. However, that doesn't now mean that you got to use this opportunity now, where everyone's eyes is on them and everyone's out here giving their takes. It doesn't mean that you have to now use that as an opportunity to be like, you know, this is actually why this guy was terrible. I'm not saying you should have killed him, but he was a terrible human being. And what do we do to terrible human beings? I don't know. You tell me. You know what I mean? Like, but that, like, there's a time and place. Obviously, that's just on some autism. Like, dog, there is a time and place. There is a time and a place. But no one's saying that you had to like him. And you keep saying he's a bad guy. Therefore, you know, people shouldn't be... He shouldn't be getting the praise that he's getting and everything like that. You shouldn't be lowering flags. You shouldn't be trying to give him medals or anything like this. But this is why people are bringing up George Floyd. Because for all intents and purposes, George Floyd was like... what's the word you could use for it? A lot of people bring up the fact, like, he did a stint for holding a pregnant woman at knife point and robbing her. I think it was just in and out of jails for all types of infractions. Obviously a drug addict, and he was just a vagrant on the streets, so wherever the fuck it was, right? You know. So also like an adult actor. Like, there's this video that exists of him on some sites. If you weren't aware of that, I guess. I don't know what that's about, but it does exist. I've seen it. It exists. It's true. Don't ask why I've seen it. It was for research. You know, that's what he was like. Is this like a good dude? Like, this is not the best of them. They're not bringing their best with George Floyd, from what we can tell, right? But does that now mean that he deserves to get brutalized and have his life taken from him that way? Now, obviously, there's debate on what actually happened with him. how much of it had to do with drugs, how much didn't. And by the way, like, the courts themselves in the court case said that it was inconclusive as far as the drug overdose aspect of it. And then the heart condition as well played a factor, but they don't know how much of a factor. I think he had COVID as well at the time. So it was a lot of compounding factors there. But with the fentanyl specifically, they said, did y'all forget about the court case? Like, they said themselves, like, I know that there was there's like a state guy or a county guy that did an autopsy and said it was a drug overdose, and then the family wanted a second opinion and hired a private guy, and he said that it was asphyxiation from the knee on the neck. And then whatever guy they brought in to do the one for the court case said that it was inconclusive if it was a fentanyl overdose. That meaning there is not enough evidence to say either way. At least that's my understanding of what that means. Maybe legally it means something else, but it's inconclusive. Like, that's what the word means. Like, we don't have enough evidence to conclude anything. So it could go either way. It's kind of the point that I'm getting at here, but that's neither here nor there. The point being is that George Floyd was obviously not a very great dude, right? If not for the fact that he got, illegally murdered by a police officer, nobody would know his name, nobody would care. You'd probably see him on the side of the street and ignore him, a lot of these people. He's over here trying to sell you a Lucy. He's over here, begging, asking for spare change, whatever the fuck it might be. You would probably just ignore him. He was just some homeless guy or whatever. But that doesn't make him that doesn't mean that he needs to now go and die. You see what I'm saying? So if y'all take the arguments that was being used for that, and y'all did sanctify that guy, like saying George Floyd is like only barely a meme. You gonna look at that guy's funeral and you see these politicians crying, kneeling down, crying. It's like, dude, why? Why would? There's no way you care this much. It's so performative. Drawing up all these murals of just some guy. Like, how do you think that pregnant lady that held her at night point, that got held at night point, how do you think she feels? How about all the people that have been victimized by this guy throughout their lives? How do you think they feel about seeing murals of George Floyd everywhere and burning down half the country because of that? A lot of people died during that, by the way, and nobody talks about it. All types of people's lives ruined financially because of all the property damage to businesses that have nothing. A lot of these people, minorities, a lot of these black-owned, Hispanic-owned businesses, just by the fact that they're in the city center, they're in the downtown area, they're going to get burned down in the name of some guy who, legally was murdered, by a police officer. A lot of people's lives never recover. A lot of those areas, Kenosha, Wisconsin, like a lot of these, Baltimore, even, like, a lot of these places have never recovered because of that and the subsequent policies that are put in place to try and appease the mob. I'm getting, like, I don't know how we got this far down on this, but the point is, like, the people bring up George Floyd as a foil to that. Like, hey, in the same way that y'all didn't care who George Floyd was, y'all just cared what happened to him. Y'all shouldn't care who Charlie Kirk was. Y'all should just care what happened to him. Now, some people will argue that, Charlie Kirk may have brought this on himself in a way that George Floyd didn't, which I don't think is a very good argument, but, some people will argue that. And that only works if you're not as for free speech as a lot of people claim to be for, right? Because, he has every constitutional right to say whatever the fuck he wants, and if you go, you can have whatever the fuck opinion you want of him, but if you go and look at the footage of him doing these, public debates and everything like that, like, he's a perfectly respectful guy, perfectly literate, like, well-spoken, well-mannered dude, and that's the guy that that y'all saying brought it on himself just because he had conservative opinions that everyone agrees with, like a majority of people in a lot of these areas agree with. At least half the country agrees with these things. Like, this is the point, man. Like, he's just a conservative. He's just a conservative. That's it. He's not special. If this was like a Nick Fuentes, if this was like a Richard Spencer, like it would be much different. And once again, obviously, no, don't go out and assassinate those guys, right? Like we don't do that here, not in this country, right? But like it would almost be understandable. But dude, he's just a conservative, man. Are we really that far gone? Are we really that divided? That just like a milquetoast conservative is too much now? You're bringing it on yourself for being a conservative in Utah? Oh no, we're not gonna make it, man. We're not gonna make it, bro. Like, shit, man. We don't know how to talk to each other anymore, man. We don't. Nobody wants to. Nobody wants to try and understand. A lot of people bring up this Minnesota guy. I went and looked into it. And it's not as straightforward as the case as you would think. But for all intents and purposes, it looks to be like some crazy... all these guys are crazy, so it's redundant to say that. But, you know, like he was coming at it from more of a pro-Palestine angle. And also, these were local senators, like a state senator. So the people in that state might not even know their name. I don't know the names of my state senators, I don't think. Maybe one of them, maybe. But, you know, like they're just not going to be that well known on a national stage, which is why it didn't get as much media attention. And even then, the motivations of the guy was a lot less clear. Once again, it seemed to be from like a pro-Palestine angle. And yeah, he was targeting Democrats, but I believe he was targeting Democrats who supported Israel. I've heard something about he was also coming at it from like a pro-life thing, but I haven't, you know, been able to verify any of that. But, you know, it's a much messier situation, and, you know, it seems much more of like a local domestic type of thing. But obviously, like, the difference is nobody's making jokes about the fucking Minnesota Senators, man. Nobody knows about it. And you could argue maybe people should know about it, but nobody's making jokes about it. And even if they're making jokes, nobody's claiming it. Nobody on the right wing, none of these Republicans have a problem saying, Jesus Christ, you went and murdered 2 of these people because you disagree with them political? What the fuck is wrong with you? Nobody has no reasonable person. I should say, because there's all types of unreasonable people. But like, nobody has an issue with condemning that. But all of a sudden, when it comes to Charlie Kirk, now it's like a big problem. All of a sudden, there's all of these qualifiers. Oh, well, but you got to consider that. Oh, you got to, otherwise, you got to, you know, therefore. Like, bro, it's bad what happened. Like, bro, like, what the fuck? Okay, if that's an assassination too, then it's assassination. Like, bro, like, we didn't know about it because it's a local thing. Those were state senators, not fucking federal senators, right? Like, so, like, people keep bringing this up like it's some type of gotcha. It's not a gotcha. We don't know about it. It's a local case. Oh, what about this Charlotte thing that everyone's pulling up? Like, there's a guy who lives in North Carolina. I didn't even know about that until I started going online and started seeing everyone talking about it. But, you know, some cases are just going to catch the national interest for a plethora of reasons. We don't need to get into why that one specifically caught a lot of people's interest. But, you know, the proximity to, obviously, the Charlie Kirk thing has a lot to do with it. But, you know, I don't know. That one didn't catch the national interest as much, and I believe a part of that has to do with the motivations are not as clear cut as people would like them to be, because like he's a seemingly right wing guy, but he's like pro Palestine and coming at it from like an anti-Jewish angle, anti-Israeli angle, and everything. So, you know, that's not a narrative that's as clean for a lot of people. So maybe it didn't catch for that reason. But, you know, like I just don't see how that's like an argument for this is why we gotta do the same exact thing. Like, I think that being logically consistent is a little bit overrated to a degree, because we're all human beings and we're all fallible and we're all hypocrites to one degree or another. However, you know, the people's willingness, absolute willingness to be blatant hypocrites on many of these issues that are now coming to the forefront is problematic to me. Like, I like, so nobody's genuine no more. Like, we gotta start being genuine, man. Nobody cares about, like, it's not a virtue. to speak what you actually believe. It's all about dunking on the other guys and trying to get these clicks. So once again, I go into that social media argument. If it's so bad that some of these guys made some slight jokes, whatever like their jokes, they're bad about Paul Pelosi. Once again, I don't think that was a political thing from what I've looked into. It looked like there was like interpersonal beef between those two people specifically. And by the way, it's not Nancy Pelosi, who is a political figure. It's Paul Pelosi, who nobody fucking knew existed until that happened. You could have told me Nancy Pelosi is a fucking lesbian. I would have believed you. So that one didn't seem politically motivated at all. That seemed to be a crazed neighbor. But regardless, because people will make light of that. If that's bad, then you making light of this is also bad. So don't worry about them. Worry about you. You're also being a hypocrite. If they're being a hypocrite, so are you. So now we're just like a country of hypocrites. Like everyone, like the whole discourse is hypocritical. Because you're like, oh, you say this, but like, I saw that before. Like I alluded to it earlier. Oh, I thought the right was supposed to be against cancel culture. And now you're trying to get all these people fired for yada, yada, yada. Like, yes, they are. And yes, they've turned on this issue. But if you want to call them hypocritical, so be it. But you saying that is implicitly, you're implying that cancel culture as an idea is not a great thing. But you were for it before. Everyone was for it before. Once these people who had these not so palatable opinions, or, you know, might have got caught up in some legal issue, but later down the line ended up not being what we thought it was, or maybe they got acquitted or whatever the fuck it was. Like this whole canceling people forever. O.J. Simpson can be on all the social media he wants and be a motherfucking influencer. But Alex Jones can't, or whoever the fuck can't, you know, like whatever the fuck, like replace whatever the fuck name you want, you know what I mean? Like that whole ideology that y'all been proposing for the past like decade. If that's bad, if that was okay then, why is it bad now when the other people are doing it? Nobody wants to look at it that way. They just like, they do the snarky tweets. Like, oh my gosh. So, man, I guess y'all just didn't care or something like that. Like, but I guess y'all didn't care. I guess y'all don't care now. Y'all just looking for clicks, man. Like, no one wants to be genuine no more. We don't know how to talk to each other, man. That's what's got to change, bro. I could sit here all day. I think I said most of what I wanted to say, but like, there's always going to be something. The point of the matter is, we got to be genuine. We've got to talk to each other. Oh my God, he was pro 2A and said that people dying from gun violence is a byproduct of the Second Amendment. Everyone who believes in the Second Amendment believes that. Why do people keep bringing that up? Like, of course. Like, it's math. Anywhere where guns are any type of legal, there's always going to be some type of gun crime. You can't get rid of all of it. The only way you do that is by getting rid of all the guns, which like in reality is impossible in the United States. But even if you want to say it is possible, then just say that. Just say that, hey, I don't think we should have guns at all in the United States. And then we could go from there. But people keep talking gun control as if that's gonna, like, what is that? We have more gun control now than we ever had in the United States history. Back in the 70s, back in the 60s, back in the 1800s, like we have less gun. We had less gun control back then. We have more gun control now, and there's more mass shootings now. Why weren't people committing mass shootings when they're legally allowed to take a gun to school? Because they had like shooting class as an extracurricular, like a target practice. You go and bring your rifle and put it in your locker, and you're gonna go shoot it later on. Like, they used to do that back in the day, way back in the day, but they used to do it. Why were there no mass shootings then? Oh, they were, like, they weren't at this level. They weren't happening every other goddamn day. And if they were, then why is it that we're only talking about it now? We weren't talking about it then. People just gotta be genuine, bro. Like, shit. I don't know, man. I don't know. I see this as a slow roll, and the only way that we can put some brakes on it is by turning down. I know everyone hates it saying that, they've heard too much, but turning down the temperature. And yes, on both sides. Yes, I do believe that there is an element that is a lot more present on the left side of things, but I think that element is an ideological one, where people cannot separate the political from the personal. If I disagree with you politically, that's the same as me disagreeing with you existing, and therefore I'm disagreeing with your life. Just in general, particularly when it comes to some of these like trans issues, because that's become remember when this was initially pitched to us as as just like a collective, where this was like a medical like condition, and transitioning was a treatment for that condition. Not the only treatment, by the way, that gets lost, but that is a treatment for this condition that will work for a lot of these people. And now it's becoming like this identity. So if I disagree with anything having to do with transgender policy, I'm disagreeing with the existence of trans people, and therefore I want them to die. Like, do what? So that means I just can't disagree with you ever. I can't disagree with you at all. Like, maybe we shouldn't cut off the 2-year-old's dick. Maybe we shouldn't do that. Oh, well, no one's doing that. You're being facetious. But why couldn't they do that? Why couldn't they? If I'm not allowed to disagree with you at all, when some fucking crazy person out here and says, oh, you know what I mean? Yeah, no, like, you can always get some type of cosmetic surgery later, but like this person, obviously, you know, this kid, like, if they have balls, that means they're gonna have testosterone naturally at a certain age and everything like that. And you could always just be on HRT for the rest of your life to get that same exact testosterone. So let's just cut off their balls and make them a eunuch up until they get to the point where they want to choose. And then whether they could choose where they just want to be said eunuch or be on motherfucking drugs for the rest of their fucking life. Let them make that motherfucking choice. By the way, nobody talks about the fucking companies who make these drugs. It's like one fucking company, and they fund a lot of these fucking studies that show that allegedly there's no fucking issue. You can just be on puberty blockers and you can come off of them and you'll just be fine. But like, let's not even get into that. Once again, that's another discussion that nobody wants to be genuine about. And it's not me being anti-trans. Like, my opinions, as with most things, are nuanced when it comes to that issue. However, you know, you can't tell me, if you tell me that I can't disagree with you without disagreeing with your existence, then somebody's gonna come out and be ridiculous, and now no one's allowed to disagree with them, including you. You'll get pushed back from your own side because some fucking crazy person with a clear mental issue, with clear, you know, sexual issues, developmental issues. By the way, a lot of this shit's fetishry. No one wants to talk about that. A lot of these people who fucking transition jerk off to transgender porn all the motherfucking time. No one wants to talk about that. A lot of these people are actually motherfucking what the fuck it is, like hyper gynophiles, whatever the fuck it is. Like, they're more attracted to the idea of them as a woman or the opposite sex rather than them actually identifying with the opposite sex. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's a purely goon thing. You see what I'm saying? Like, why is it that all these people get into sex work and then it's like, oh, the transgender suicide rate, the transgender murder rate is so much higher, but every single one of those transgender that are being murdered is like a fucking sex worker? We gotta learn how to talk to each other. We gotta remember how to do it. It's not actually that hard. You have to be willing to forego some of these ideological pillars of your personality that y'all made y'all personality, and just actually motherfucking talk to people, because it's not that fucking hard. And the majority of people actually are fucking like normies, right? Like, they don't really feel too strongly one way or the other. They just know what their life is and what they've seen in fucking life. And if you show them some things and you can make good arguments, you can get a lot of fucking people on your side. Like, we don't need to go out and fucking shoot people and threaten violence on people to have any type of fucking impact. We really can just talk to each other. We can do it. We should be able to do it. Charlie Kirk should have been able to fucking do it. God damn. I wanted this to be chill, and then I got mad. Like, the whole point of this was to not be mad, bro. Let's talk to each other, man. Let's bring talking back. Let's be genuine, man. That's it, bro. I don't know. Watch all of that, not ever.